Welcome to Inner Power Moments, a podcast that elevates your power, purpose, and potential.
All right, welcome to Inner Power Moments. I'm your host, Valery Malone, and I'm so excited that you guys are here with me. Today, we're going to talk about self doubt, one of my favorite subjects, yet the subject that I hate the most. Okay. Um, why is my favorite subject? Because self doubt, I lived with the self doubt for so long. For so long, I lived with self doubt. Why? Because when I started my life very, very young, I became mother in a very young age. So I had to grow up in a very young age. I didn't had the luxury of being teenager and going to school and making friends and actually fuck up life and say that, oh, I was young. Remember when I was young, I was so stupid. I didn't had that opportunity because I got married very young. I had kids very young and I had to learn everything. And my marriage was arranged. So it wasn't like I did it. So it was my family's decision to do it. And then I came from my country about 30, 40 years ago, here in a country with no family, no friends, and being in a new country, not knowing the language, but yet being a mom, being a wife. And I had to learn everything really, really fast on my own. So you can imagine how much self doubt I had because I didn't know myself. And all of a sudden, I'm a mom. Okay. So you're a mom now, you're a wife now, and you don't know yourself. You're very young yourself. I just cringe into this little bubble and made myself in this little room with my thoughts, with my things. I knew I had a lot of potential, but I didn't know how to go out there and create my own life. Took me years and years and years and years to even learn what it was to have self-doubt. It took me a long time to even realize what it is to have self doubt, let alone work on it and let alone come out of it and actually create a life that I wanted it. So that's why it's kind of like my favorite words because I conquered it and I learned about it and I kicked it out of my life. But at the same time, it's like it's a word that I hate because it haunted me for the longest time in my life. For the longest time, I doubted myself, everything that I did. And the reason for that was because I didn't know much better. I didn't know. So every time I was going to make a decision, I would doubt myself. Oh my God, what if? What if I fail? What if I can't do it? What if I fail? And my self doubt grew and grew more and more when I left my husband and I started my life on my own with two kids. And then I always wanted to be entrepreneur in my life. One thing I always from the young age, I never wanted to work for anybody. I don't know. I'm one of those people that I didn't want to work for anybody for some reason. I did work for a lot of people because I had no choice. But I knew in the back of my head that I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to start my own business. But for the longest time, the reason I couldn't do it is not only because I couldn't afford it to be entrepreneur, but the self doubt really kept me down. It was just every time I would get up with idea, and every time I would think that, okay, I want to start a business, it just boom would hit me down. Every time I would want to start a business, self doubt would like all these negative thoughts would come to my mind. Like, what if you can't do it? What if you fail? What are your parents gonna think? What is your siblings gonna think? What is your ex-husband's gonna think? Because he was the one that told me that you will never make it without me. So that actually stayed in my head most than anything else. And why is that? Because as a human, we have this habit of a negative comment stay with us longer than a positive. That's just the way it is. I can give you 10 compliment, you will not remember if I insult you one time. When somebody say to you something about you one time, you will remember that more than if somebody gives you much compliment. That's just the way it is. And I was like that too. So he never gave me compliment, but imagine hearing negative thoughts from your parents when you're young. Imagine if you get that from your friends. Imagine if you get that all these relationships that you've been to. All of those things is in your head. And that is enough to create so much self-doubt. And a lot of people, so hard for them to go out there and create a life that they want because that self-doubt, that negative thoughts, that little voice is always there with them and is stopping them from being authentic and being themselves. So I know exactly how that feels like. But I had no choice to break it because I said to myself, I don't want to work for anybody. I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to work for myself. So that's why it's so important for you to realize if you are here and if you're listening to me, and if you feel like you have a self doubt that is stopping you for you to create a life that you want, then it's really important for you to do something about it. Because one thing that we cannot gain back in our life is time. Time is not something that we can buy. Time is not something we can reverse. And if we continue living the life that we don't like and let the self doubt take control of our life, is that you're wasting a lot of time. And that's how everything will become regret, because everything you do today will become regret for tomorrow. So to me, that was really important. When I realized that, and I said to myself, I'm not going to let self doubt stop me for who I wanted to be. And once I did that, and I knew, I was like, okay, you know what? If I fail, I fail. I don't care. But I'm going to get rid of this negative voice out of my head. I'm not going to let the self doubt stop me. And I know you guys can do it too. I know you are so capable of doing it. But um, when you're in there, it seems really hard because you're so used to it. You're so used to it. Like I said, every little thing that anybody told you, it comes back every time you make a decision. And it tells you, like, no, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You can't do this. You're not good enough. And that battle keeps going and going. And we keep ourselves busy with other things. And I noticed that I work with a lot of influencers, a lot of people that are very successful when it comes to money. They're the one that battling with self-doubt the most because they quiet that by just kept themselves busy with something else, which is work for them temporarily. But that's not a permanent solution. In order to get rid of self doubt, you really truly have to recognize it first and say to yourself that my self doubt is stopping me from me being who I am. And I did a whole podcast episode about how to know who you are and ask yourself a question, who you are, which it was amazing episode because every time I make an episode, as I'm talking to you guys, I realize that how I did it in my own life and how I didn't know who I was. Because if somebody asks you who you are, you describe your external personality. I'm a mother, I'm a business person, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a female, I'm a male. All these things that the society give it to us, that's how we introduce ourselves as. But our true self is something that we really don't know unless we take some time and spend time with ourselves. So I did an episode on that, and that was made me realize a lot of stuff and brought a lot of memory back. But having self-doubt is the recognition of that, to realize that your self-doubt is keeping you from your success. Is important for you to take some time within yourself and learn about yourself. So a couple of things that I did was get rid of my self-doubt. One thing that worked very well for me was to set a clear boundary in every area of my life. And again, I did another episode about setting healthy boundaries. If you guys wanted to listen to that, go back, listen to that, because it's really important. Setting boundary is really important because you're protecting your soul. It's like, almost, I always tell people that your home is somewhere that you're putting all these cameras, all the security, fence, and everything to protect your home, to make sure your home is safe. Setting a boundary in your life is you're protecting your soul. You're protecting your thoughts. You're protecting your emotion. If you don't have that boundary in your life, then everybody comes in and interrupt all of that. And once we get interrupted with our emotion, with our thoughts, and with our spirit, guess what happened? We doubt ourselves. We doubt ourselves. We think we're not good enough. And more importantly, we become people pleaser. We live our life based on other people' expectation. So if you want to get rid of self-doubt, you have to set up a clear intention, boundaries in your life. And you have to say to yourself, who is allowed to come to my home, which is your mind, body, and soul, and your emotion, that is can benefit me. And if it's not, it has to be out. So I talk about boundaries a lot, because it's that important. So And the other thing that is so funny, because when I coach my clients, a lot of time when we sit down, when we talk about it, and then they fill out the application, and then we do the first session, and they tell me, I did not realize I was a people pleaser. And we don't. A lot of us don't. Because how can you say to yourself, oh no, I'm a people pleaser? That doesn't sound right, right? But we are. If your self doubt is keeping you from wanting to be who you are, then you are a people pleaser. Because guess what? We living our life from other people expectation. We're trying to please them, right? We're trying to make them happy. When you always put yourself in the back and make somebody else happy, then yes, you're a people pleaser. That's just the way it is. It's not a really happy word, but the faster you realize it, the faster you can fix it. So, getting rid of self doubt is very important to have a clear boundary in every area of your life. All the relationship, your health, your career, your personal life, because that is your fence around your mind, body, and soul. And you have to put a lot of security around that. Don't let just anybody walk into your life and do anything, because there's no rule and regulation, because there's no boundaries. I can abuse you. I can abuse you physically, if emotionally, sexually, financially. And I'm going to do, people do, unless you stop them by setting some clear boundaries. And then once you set some boundaries, then self-doubt slowly will go, because you did something good for yourself. Okay? That is one thing that I did that completely and utterly changed my mind. I mean, changed my life. The other thing that I did was that negative self talk. Like I said, self doubt comes always, always from something that happened to you either in the past or is still happening to you. Okay? It's still happening to you. And that negative thoughts comes in and you always, always doubt yourself. I still get it, but it doesn't affect me as much. But notice that in every stage of your life, people will always have something to say about you. And if you don't take care of it, and if you take it personally, then the self doubt creeps in and it will stop you. So, in order for you to get rid of self doubt, you must get rid of that negative thought from your mind. That just has to go. And in order for you to do that, whether you're meditating, whether you're journaling, whether whatever technique that you have, you need to sit down and say to yourself, I'm not accepting this negative thoughts. Just like a boundary, I'm not allowing that to come in, because it's not true. Majority of the time, people say something, that's their opinion. It's not even a fact. So it's their opinion. But if you allow negative thoughts, if you're around negative people, if you're around people that are always complaining, if you're around people that are always bringing your energy down, if you're around people that always just think talking about themselves, not care about you, and you're kind of like their punching bag, then you allowing those negative thoughts to go. What are you listening to? Like, what are you watching when you're on the social media? What are you scrolling and what are you watching? Okay. All of those matters, because our brain is like a sponge and takes all the information. And it's so funny. I tested this so many times. Do you know that there is a time that when I said watch a TV with my kids, sometime I love Animal Planet, so we watch Animal Planet, and there's a time that when I go to sleep, I get up and I tell my daughter, "Oh my God, I had a dream about elephant, or I had a dream about dolphin." Our mind is so clever. When we listen to something consciously, it goes to subconscious mind, and once it goes to subconscious mind, then it does its job, and it can destroy you. So negative thoughts is something like you hear because you want to be nice. If a friend comes to you and they're talking about themselves and they keep talking negatively, everything is bad, everything is not working out for me. And then you go to social media, you're going to see all these news, all these stuff. There's so much going on in the world. Oh my God, we can sit down and talk about negative stuff for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And then you go watch a TV and there's so much negative stuff on the TV. So a lot of negative thoughts always around us, but it's our job to make sure that we don't allow it in our world. One, by setting boundaries. Two, by being very intentionally aware of ourselves, who we hang out with. Because who we hang out with, that's who we become. So if you're feeling self-doubt, if you're feeling that you're not living your true self and you're not expressing yourself from your authentic self, is then one of the things is that you're allowing a lot of negative things. You might even do it unintentionally, but scientifically it's been proving, spiritually it's been proving that whatever you allowed in your mind and your body and your soul, and you'll become that. So it's very critical for you to make sure and guard your mind and not to let any negative thoughts go enter your world. Because and no matter what it is that people say about you, whether they say it online or offline, it's just their opinion. People have a lot of opinion. People talk so much. Okay. So that's another thing. In order to get rid of self-doubt, you must know that what am I listening to? Who am I hang out to? Why do I feel this way? Because I guarantee you 99% of the time, it's not you, it's other people putting those things, those words in your mind. They embedding those things, whether it's from childhood. Some people carry those things from childhood. Some people carry those things from trauma. Some people, I had it all. I had it from childhood. I had it from trauma. I had it from all that stuff. Hanging around people that are really not good for me. All of that I experienced. So I did my homework and I did the homework for you. You don't have to do it. But self negative talk is very important to get rid of that and sit with yourself and know yourself that you are good enough in any moment of the time that you're here, regardless of what's going on in your life. Okay. That's another thing that I practice a lot by getting rid of self doubt. And the third one is that really, really easy. And again, I talk to a lot of people on my podcast. So one of my favorite thing is that uh, uh, law of attraction, right? Like manifestation. We talk about manifestation a lot. I'm sure you heard of it a lot. I'm sure everybody heard of it about it, law of attraction. But it really does work if you do it right. It really, really does work. So the mind cannot differentiate between the reality, what you're going right now, and what are you thinking. It cannot. The scientific it's been proven scientifically, and I'm so glad that people are talking about it more now than that we did before, from science perspective and also from religious perspective as well as from spiritual perspective. It's been proven that law of attraction works, manifestation works. So if you have a self-doubt, it's really important for you to visualize yourself successful. Like, what is successful life look to you? What does that look like to you? It's really important to go there every morning and every night. You don't have to do anything physically, but just have that vision of, if I would have asked you what your successful life look like, when you tell me that, when you write it down, the script is yours. How does that look like? And if you're a person that always battling with self-doubt, I need you to take that and I need you to visualize it every single day. And the best way, and I talk to a lot of expert, a lot of law of attraction expert, as well as spiritual expert, as well as manifestation expert, and they're saying that the best time to do it is in the morning, first in the morning when you wake up, and then going at nighttime. Because when we visualize something at night, it goes to your subconscious mind. And once it goes subconscious mind, it comes to you very, very easily. So it's really important to understand that what you perceive as real or become real. So if you're that person that thinking that you have self-doubt because somebody told you not good enough, I need you to know that you're the character in your life. You're the main character. So how would you play your story? What did that story looks like to you? From all aspects of your life. It's the health, the career, relationship, and within yourself. All those four corners. Look at it and write it down. What does that look like? And once you have that vision, you don't have to do anything else. Keep going. Step into that world. Every time you get overwhelmed, step into that world. Every time you have a self-doubt, step in that to that world. And the more you do it, the easier it'll become. And then next you know, it will appear itself. Again, I've did a lot of episode on law of attraction, on manifestation. I have a lot of gurus that are very, very successful that come in and giving you guys strategy how to apply this. But I've done it myself and it actually works if you do it right. So these are the things that I did in my life to overcome self-doubt. And it's very easy. It's not that complicated, but all you have to do is to be serious about yourself because you're important. Your health is important, your mental health is important, and you are important. It's more important than your job. Your happiness is more important than your job. It's more important than your kids. It's more important than your family. It's more important than your friend. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So you need to take some time and spend some time with yourself and ask yourself this question: why do I have this self doubt? Recognizing that, and then apply this strategy in your life and get rid of that once for all. So I hope this worked for you. Let me know how that worked for you. I love to hear from you. This is all going to be on the show notes. And if you guys want to listen to a topic that is really bothering you or topic that you're interested, let me know. I'll make sure that we make an episode on that. But thank you so much for listening. Till next time, have an amazing day.